Now, Cincinnati Connection, connecting you to your community.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Cincinnati Connection. The 2017 State of Women-Owned Businesses report shows the number of startups by Black women alone is up more than 460% over the last 20 years. Another report released in the same year put Black women as majority owners in 1.5 million businesses, generating $42 million in sales and a $7.7 billion payroll. That's a lot. Still, with great success comes even greater challenges and hurdles. Some Black women are not able to get their hands on venture funding, while others say simply getting people to believe in them and to back their product or their services can be a challenge. But as the saying always goes, challenges are meant to be met and to be overcome. This morning, we have 4 women who have met those challenges head on. First, Sherry Sims, founder of the Black Career Women's Network. We also have Chef Elle Marie, founder of Soleil Kitchen. Tarita Preston, founder of The Curated Coach, and Giovanni Trollinger, owner of The Breeze Bar. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us this morning. All right, so I'll start by asking, all of you decided to become entrepreneurs due to experiences some of you might have had or might not have had in corporate America, right? Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
Okay, so why do you feel so many African-American women, and this can go to anyone over here, have converted to a life of entrepreneurship versus kind of the daily grind and the daily hustle that a lot of us are on while working for maybe Fortune 500 companies?
Well, I'd like to say, I think first you need to ask yourself the why. Why are you doing it? And for myself, it was more or less I wanted to help Black women in the workplace. So entrepreneurship was never on the radar for me, but as I began to create the model for the business and start to work in it, I realized that I needed to be an entrepreneur in order to take it to the place I wanted to go. So eventually for me, I learned about what that was and had to train myself or change my mindset to become an entrepreneur, again, because it really was not on the radar for me.
For me, I'd say it's freeing. And I think that's why a lot of people like it.
Yeah.
You get a ton of autonomy, you get to put your own stake in the world, and you living your own purpose.
What about you, Chef?
I would say purpose is a big thing for me. Working in corporate America, you're working 40, sometimes 50, 60 hours a week. It leaves little time for family and for personal relationships. So investing in myself and finding my purpose and what was my calling led me to start Soleil Kitchen. It led me to be an entrepreneur, and it led me to be able to provide opportunities for people in my community.
My reasons were very similar. I wanted control of my life back to some extent, to be completely honest. I wanted to have more time with my family. I wanted to connect to my community. And like they said, dedicating 40, sometimes 50, 60 hours a week to someone else's dream makes that difficult. So it allowed me to show up as my full self, and it wasn't on my radar either, but it was something that wouldn't leave me alone.
Well, Black women have continuously shown that, and we can all agree with this, that they are key influencers when it comes to mainstream culture, when it comes to music, when it comes to the economy, which results in the power of the Black dollar in a certain direction. In fact, there's a Nielsen report that's titled African American Women, Our Science, Her Magic, recently came out describing this by using the popular term, I know you've all heard it, Black Girl Magic.
Yes.
That same report, it shows Black spending power driving towards a record, what is it, $1.5 trillion by 2021, with Black women having the heavy hand in that because we account for 52% of the African American race. What makes young Black women, in your opinion, so much of influencers, if you can say?
I'll start. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I believe we create the culture. Like and it comes naturally to us. I know one of the biggest things, or one of the most important things I heard was that last year, it was from Rich Lou Dennis, who owns Shea Moisture. He said, we literally haven't thought about monetizing things that we know because we don't think it's important to other people.
Yeah.
But everything stems from, a lot of what is popular now has stemmed from our culture of things we just know, just inherently. So I think that's why it's like, can we finally feel confidence in it enough to like want to share with other people, and that's why it's become more popularized.
And I think that technology today versus 20 years ago has definitely opened the door to have more access and visibility to express ourselves more, to really show more of who we are. You know, where media 20 years ago, you had limited access to how you could do that. So I think that has changed how we're able to show up and have access to show who we really are.
Especially through social media. We have platforms like Facebook and Instagram where we can really showcase what it is that we're doing. Say, for instance, with 20 years ago, you weren't able to necessarily start a business and put it out to the world and be able to touch different demographics in different cities without having to travel there. Social media and the internet has opened the opportunity to now you can target different demographics in different cities without necessarily having to be there.
I feel like we've grown in consciousness. We're showing up stronger. We're showing up more empowered. And when you stand from that place, you want to shine your light. You want to show up to the world, and we're much more accepting of it, and society's ready for it.
All of you have said that innovation, for the most part, has played a significant role in taking something that all of you probably do every single day and sharing it with the masses, whether that's through Facebook, through Twitter, through Sherry. I know that you utilize, I love your YouTube page, you utilize using the Google Hangout sessions in order to have workshops, right?
Yes, in the beginning, I utilized the Google Hangouts to, I believe media, for me in the beginning, played a big part in the visibility that I was trying to, and still do, gain from a national standpoint. So I knew the value in media early on. And then coming from, I'm a little older than everybody here. So I do see the evolution. I do see the evolution of from when I was 20 to when now women who are 20 in terms of being able to have access to all these things. So for me, when I started BCWN, I was only on Facebook. That was it. And it was just so I could stay in contact with my family. But I saw the value in being able to utilize all the tools of social media to expand and create visibility for the business. And so, again, for me, it was liberating as well because I was able to express who I am from the old school perspective and share that with the world.
For me, in my profession, I'm a leadership coach, so I love LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I want to talk to professionals. I want to talk to people who have teams. I want to make working much more adaptable to people. So I want you to get off automatic, and I really like engaging with that workforce.
Yeah.
And they ask me for tips.
So when we talk about access, obviously you have LinkedIn, we have Google Hangouts. What about your access? When you were attempting to make that transition from corporate America into entrepreneurship, you know, how much access was given to you? So we like, she has a story. She has a story.
It's my last bit. When I made the transition, and I do not recommend anyone does this, I maxed out my 401k. When I left working, left working for an insurance company, I had a really good salary. However, it wasn't beneficial to the purpose I had in life.
Yeah.
So I literally started with probably about $2,000 after taxes that dropped drastically. But being able to start your business and you don't necessarily have the capital to get the inventory, to hire a marketing team, hire PR, or to be able to get simple marketing materials such as banners, it's definitely a struggle. But when it comes to being able to network with the right individuals, whether it's a financial consultant, financial strategist, wealth management, and speaking with different individuals that helped me get on the right track to say, hey, this is the outline of what you need to do. Not everyone has that opportunity. I had the opportunity through Mortar.
You know what, honestly, coming up in just a second, following up on that point, while Black women are leading the charge in entrepreneurship, as Salima just mentioned, they are still lagging and getting venture capital to grow their businesses. How some have come to their own rescue. That's up next. Welcome back. We continue our conversation on the growing number of Black women entrepreneurs in America. According to Nielsen, there is power in numbers, obviously, because Black women entrepreneurs are growing at an exponential rate. But with that growth still comes challenges, more specifically barriers that keep them from reaching venture capital. So we go back to our panelists this morning, giving us their tips. And Tarita, I'm going to go ahead and begin with you. The Diane Project reports that Black female founders are only able to raise an average of about $36,000 in venture capital. This is in comparison to white males who can get an average of $1.3 million. So we always hear about the phrase asking for what we're worth. Is it that we aren't asking for enough, or it's just not in our reach?
I think it's a mix of both. When you think about tech and you think about entrepreneurs, what comes to mind? White males. So it's already predicated for them. As Black women, we need to lead with confidence. You show up how you present. So if you're wavering, if you're unsure, if you know it's going to be dominated by males, you have to lead a totally different way.
Yeah.
I'm giving you my money. I want to show me that you're going to invest it or use it properly. So it's a battle of the two ways.
Yeah, and I think also too, when I went through my first accelerator to begin, I immediately knew that it was going to be a challenge. And so I had to change my mindset to figure out how am I going to creatively get what I need to start the business. And I recognize talents about myself I didn't know I had. You know,
I love that. I love that. That's the process.
I recognized talents about myself that I didn't even know. I was like, oh my God, I can do this.
Okay.
And so I started to become very resourceful in being able to market and, you know, I brush up on my writing skills and all the things I needed to do in order to deliver this, you know, this business the way I needed people to show up and see what I'm trying to do. So again, I think being resourceful, you learn a lot about what your limitations are, what you're able to do through the limited resources you have.
Well, Salima, we already know kind of what you did with your resources. I mean, you want to jump in on this one?
I agree with her. I went in because I've kind of observed the tech world from a distance as a beauty professional, but still very much involved in the tech. I knew the uphill battle going in, so I was like, you know what? I don't want the pressure from a venture capitalist. Right. I would rather, you know, bootstrap, which is what, to be completely honest, I would encourage anybody who wants to go into entrepreneurship to do, because once you put your own money behind something, you work harder for it. You make sure if all else fails, you bet on yourself, and it gives you a different level of like gumption to go after it. So I'm like her, where I asked, you know, I couldn't afford a contractor. I said, Google, let me learn how to do this. Like, I became more resourceful than I ever imagined I would be. So I didn't need as much funding because I learned a lot of stuff.
Well, as we've seen in life, women of color sort of act as their own saviors here and overcoming this barrier. So we talk about people like Arlen Hamilton.
Yes.
If you've heard of her, Backstage, I think it's Backstage Capital Investing. She invested in companies who have at least one founder who that is either a person of color, a woman, or a member of the LGBTQ community. Now she's just started another investing firm, now Hamilton rather, kicking off an investing fund that is focusing solely on women of color. So that's a $36 million fund. I mean, this is an example of women kind of becoming their own saviors and really investing in themselves. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe this is a conversation that has been going on for, I would say, maybe 4 years. Catherine Finney is one of the founders of recognizing and putting it out there in terms of, hey, this is an issue. This is this is a problem, and we need to. What can we do to rectify that? And one of the things that I've started to notice in the media lately, you know, it was a specific episode I was watching on a show on Freeform, which is a millennial station, pretty much, and they were talking about how African American women are the leading you know, women who are becoming entrepreneurs. So I think the writers of these shows within the entertainment industry recognize what's going on, which is good, because we need that. We need those conversations to be within their industry to recognize that. So hopefully at this stage, as we continue to talk about it, then they'll be able to say, what can we do to solve it?
I think it's another point to add on to that is the fact that we as Black women see that it's not an easy lane, and we're creating our own lane. So you have Issa Rae Presents, so you have an entire company built of creatives, and you have events like a SIP where you're actually having intimate conversations with these actors and these movers and shakers. So at the same time, we're seeing that there are some limitations to get to where inevitably we want to get to, but we're also saying, hey, I'm going to disrupt this industry and create a lane myself.
Right.
I mean, honestly, I really think you brought up Catherine Finney, and we talk about Arlen Hamilton. I mean, are we going to start seeing more and more venture capitalists kind of come together? Women of color, venture capitalists stepping forward?
It's going to become a trend. Like, definitely. Because at this point, if nothing else, we've known forever how profitable it can be, but now everybody else sees it. So you're going to see a swarm in on people who just want to give you money because they're going to want something back, which is why I say be very careful and truly educate yourself on all different terms of funding, so you don't get yourself into a situation just because somebody wants to give you money because it's a trend that you're going to owe so much of it back. Own as much of it and keep as much of it as you can.
So where's the negative downfall here when it comes to getting money from someone?
Control.
Yeah.
Is that a pitfall that most Black women fall into, or do we see that often?
It can be, because then if you take the money, because sometimes you really need it, it becomes... I don't know how to articulate what I'm trying to say, but if it's like borrowing from somebody who knows you need the money, then they can kind of manipulate that a little bit more versus you kind of, you know, like a loan shark.
Well,
You're gonna see that.
It's also that people want to return on their investment.
Exactly.
Right? So I don't know if it's a loan shark, but that's just the nature of business. So you have to be able to deliver, and being able to deliver requires a lot of things. And if you're going into this, you want to be completely clear on what you're giving up and what you're getting.
Exactly.
All right,
And I don't think
we're
that
gonna
people are
continue
clear
this
on that.
conversation just a second. Have to take a quick break. We'll be right back, guys. All right, welcome back. Continuing our conversation on Black women entrepreneurs and the amount of growth we have seen amongst those women in America and its direct impact on the economy. We've been having a great conversation in the break, by the way. The conversation has continued. So I've been learning a lot here. I want to ask you all this. Why do you feel that there is not a willingness of the masses to embrace what all of you do or what you all have to offer? Initially, just on, just kind of when they see you, just taking you for face value.
I think it's, again, it goes back to sometimes the stereotypes and the biases. And so that's kind of a cultural thing too.
Yeah.
Understanding who we are and what we bring to the table. But I think that's changing as we are showing up and showing who we are. And now they're able to see that.
And showing up in numbers.
In numbers, absolutely. So I think the more that happens, the more they're able to see, oh, there is opportunity there for me to invest or support these women.
Yeah. I work as a leadership coach. So when I go into corporations, in my field, you're mostly seeing older white males. So I already look different. But I like that because I can look at something completely different. And to me, it's sort of like Mother Nature showing up here. So I look at it from a totally different perspective, a woman's perspective and a millennial, right?
Yeah.
And times are changing. So I sort of find validation in that.
What do you ladies have to say?
I don't know, Lima, you go ahead.
I got you.
Yes.
With the food industry, it is male dominated. I do think that I face situations and circumstances where there are negative connotations behind Black businesses in minority communities and outside of minority communities. So it's trying to initially dispel the myths where it's like, am I going to get good customer service? Are you going to be professional? So that's always something that's at the forefront of whenever I'm having any interaction with new clients and customers.
Do we feel like we need to get a little bit more real here, about a little bit more transparent about our expectations? Have maybe what I'm trying to say is more real talk about what we should be making, what we should be doing in our communities, what role we should be taking, because I don't really hear that conversation of, okay, yeah, we should ask for what we're worth, but what are we really worth?
Yeah, and that's the thing. We have to determine that. You have to determine it. I wrote a LinkedIn post today. No one's going to give you permission but you. So you have to show up in it. And people respect, or they take you as you are and what you're providing them. So if you're coming across meek or you aren't worth that much, why would I give you more money?
Yeah, the confidence is key.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not about to fake it till you make it. I'm talking about coming with the truth.
Yeah.
And that is what people want to see. That's what they want to hear.
Yeah. I have customers and clients who grow with me, who also understand I am a startup business. I've only been in business for going on 2 years. Prior to that, I've worked in corporate America. So it's making sure that you are transparent enough while toting the line of professionalism to let your customers and clients know that you are going to make mistakes. However, I am willing to hear you out and let me know what I can do to rectify a situation.
Well, as the numbers continue to grow, your piece of advice for young aspiring entrepreneurs who have not yet taken that leap that you've all taken.
Take it, but be prepared. I can encourage saving enough. If you are newly out of college, don't run and get an apartment. Stay at home as long as you can. I moved back home. I was very blessed and grateful that my parents allowed me to move back home. But I can't encourage you enough to just take chances in small things, because it kind of grows as you do that.
Yeah.
You have to kind of tackle the world fearless, because nobody else is going to wait for you to do that.
Yeah, I would say just, take the risk, educate yourself in every aspect of the business that you're wanting to start. Industry-wise, know who the key players are, ask for help.
Yeah.
Because you cannot do it alone. Know your strengths, your weaknesses, and then fill in the gaps. And not be, and do not be afraid of failure, because it's going to happen.
Yes.
And be tenacious, push forward, stay in focus on your vision, and just, and it's going to happen.
Be confident and consistent. Being an entrepreneur, it has its moments where you can have a great financial month, and then you can sit there the next month and think, how am I going to pay my bills? So you have to sit there and be headstrong. You have to not give up. You have to be consistent with your message. If you have a product that you're selling to clients, do not post anything for like a month and then wonder where is all my clientele. Making sure you're staying in contact and be confident in what you're doing, even if you don't know it. Build a network of people that do know what they're doing. Reach out to them, and do not fear the unexpected. Otherwise, this isn't for you.
Exactly.
I'd say have a singularity of focus and get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, good advice from all four ladies. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us this morning. If you want to check out any of the data that we talked about this morning, you can go to our website, fox19now.com. Just click on the Cincinnati Connection page. We'll be right back. Missed that interview? You can find that and all of our interviews on my website, fox19now.com. Just look under Cincinnati Connection. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.